Although this is a new lens, so to speak, that we are going to discuss now, called realist evaluation, it's not very far away from policy, because this is also a lens that has been widely used, not so much in LMIC settings, but in a lot of high income settings to evaluate policies also. We are hoping that we will first understand the philosophical basis of this approach, because I think one of the key things in HPSR is to realize what is all of these lenses, what are the assumptions they make. It's not only economist lens that makes an assumption actually. All of us in most descriptions of reality that we write, or explanations or descriptions of reality, we do make these assumptions. So we'll be able to understand the philosophical basis and history of realist and theory driven thinking. We should be able to describe the characteristics of a realist evaluation. And third one is very important, because none of these lenses actually can answer all HPSR questions. And so the third one is about when should we be thinking of realist approaches. So many of you actually may walk out of this course never possibly applying it, but I think it's extremely important for you to know if there is an opportunity, or if there is a question that I'm asking which fits the realist lens, when should I pick it? Yeah. And the fourth one is, of course, looking at challenges and things like that. So we'll focus a bit to start with on actually a reading, a paper that I co-authored in Indian Anthropologist on evaluating healthcare interventions. There's a section called asking the how question. Okay. So in realist evaluation and in theory driven approaches, we will be trying to answer the how and why questions a lot. This is more or less in the domain that Kabir mentioned initially on HPSR. This field tries to look at explanatory and explanatory exploratory questions a lot. Yeah, you all remember that domain, right? On what kind of the whole kind of questions. So in this essay, what we have argued is, first we have looked at all health program evaluations, published health program evaluations in India in the last, I think, 10 years. And the main sort of thing we find is when we have tried to ask what questions were these people trying to answer, right? And what we found is mainly the questions of effectiveness and outcomes predominate. It could be due to various reasons. It could be because policymakers tend to demand more effectiveness answers. Maybe we are all interested in, did it work? We implemented JSY, did it work? And then you want to do an evaluation, yes, and you do a quick JSY coverage evaluation, 96% coverage, 90% coverage, etc. And then the result of the evaluation is, yes, it worked. So what is really the question we are trying to answer? It's a yes or no question, right? Or with respect to health insurance programs, Arogyasri. So somebody implemented Arogyasri, and usually these are spectacular, these are large scale programs, very populist in nature. They have, there is a lot of political weight behind these programs. So there is also a pressure to find positive results as opposed to negative results. So the questions are always influenced by these pressures also. But so in this essay we tried to ask, are there people also asking why, or for whom did it work? Where did it work? Why did it not work in these districts of North Karnataka, and it worked well in this? Why did it work very well in urban hospitals in Bangalore, but it did not work so well in hospitals in B towns, in smaller towns? So these are the kind of questions we found are very lacking, and they are also not being asked as much. And we try to argue that one, of course, is they are not being asked. Second possibility is also that the methodological tools available to us do not often allow us to ask these kind of questions. So that was the argument, saying that there is a very important need in HPSR, one, to embrace complexity and systems thinking. Second is to ask questions on how and why, right? So that's really this field of realist and theory driven inquiry. It predominantly tries to ask how and why questions. And I would like to emphasize that this is not really a tool. It's not really a method even. So realist evaluation, for example, is not a tool. It's not like you have at the end of today a tool which you can answer how questions for. It's not a method even. It's really an approach. It's a way to frame your question. It's a way to choose any methods that you like to answer those questions, and it's a way to analyze a lens to look at your data, right? So it's very important to appreciate that it's not a tool that you can apply in 6 steps or 5 steps or whatever. It's really an approach. So we'll start with then this thing on programs, okay? Because programs are largely understood as bunch. I mean, what do you think about programs? Let's start with that. What is a program? How do you look at programs? If you say, because remember that for the rest of the day you are in an evaluator mindset. You are really looking at programs and policies with respect to finding answers about them, right? So what is a program for you then? Programs are part of policy. So you can look at them as activities, right? Lot of activities, lot of things to be implemented. Okay. So they have activities. They have goals and objectives, and then timelines. Okay, so along with timelines comes what? Okay, so you have activities, goals, objectives, timelines. So possibly targets then. You know what's related to timeline is of course targets. Okay. Think as an evaluator. If you are going to make evaluation questions, suppose you have to evaluate his biometric scheme, so or a slightly larger one, let's say Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Okay, then there's funding, interventions. So a bit related to package of interventions. Yeah. Somebody said subjects, is it? That's a very interesting framing. Yeah, the people who are the recipients, subjects, beneficiaries, organizational structure. Are we missing something big? Inputs of the program. HR, infrastructure. These are the inputs. Okay. Yeah. So in addition to the subjects, you are saying the actors, not only the sort of recipients of the program, but also the implementers and the policy makers, etc. What else makes a program? Yeah. Go back, don't look at this question in isolation, please. Go back to all the classes that we have had before on HPSR thinking. This class is really not in isolation of its own lens. It sits within HPSR. Agenda, very interesting. They are outcome oriented. Okay, there is.
I think agenda do exist for this because there is an identified problem.
But I want to hear when she unpacked agenda for me, she said agenda is about the goals.
Because there is an identified problem and solution and a political will. That's why the program came into existence.
There is an agenda in the political.
Like the 3 things: identified problem, solution, and the political will. That's why the program is up for the design.
There's a problem, solution, and political will. So where do you place this agenda? Who has this agenda? The program designer, or the one who made the policy, or the implementer?
The one who made the policy.
The one who made the policy had an agenda, and that translated into identifying a problem, a solution, and political will. Okay. But do you see a pattern now? Just take a step back. Take a step back and look at the screen. We are here having several things about programs. On the left, there's a reason why I have put some things on the left and some things on the right. Can you see? Can you tell me why? You could look at it like that. Very interesting. So on the left is the program hardware in the terminology that they introduced, and on the right side is. And do you see a glaring sort of disparity? And this is also something what we found, right? When we are talking of program evaluation, the first things that we jump on are the objectives, goals, infrastructure, HR, how many people got covered, subjects and recipients, which is fairly, it's a way of framing people as passive. I mean, I'm not saying that you used a wrong term, but in the realist worldview, and I think in many other HPSR lenses as well, people are not passive recipients. People are not there so that programs can be implemented. For example, community participation as a program cannot be injected into a primary health center with a bunch of activities. Programs acquire a life of their own. And where does this come from? It comes from these actually. And we didn't develop enough. There are many other reasons. And for example, the agenda that we speak about is not only in the political establishment. People have their agendas. People on at the bottom, be it an A&M, be it a health worker, be it anybody from the community, any person, in the realist mindset, what we say is that programs are not actually a bunch of activities. Programs are not about what you actually see about them. Programs are not really those targets. They are not really those targets. I mean, that is what we see, that is what emerges when we see a program, but that's a window into people. And programs are built actually on ideas, interests, and assumptions actually, a lot of assumptions, right? There are variety of things like influence, tensions, alignments and negotiations. These happen everyday lives. In any primary health center, if you implement, let's say, the biometric system, it's not possible to technically have a biometric implementation plan for a country actually. Do you agree? You can make some broad principles on which to implement such a program, but in every setting where you implement it, various kinds of interests will play and decide on whether that program will achieve its goal or not. And second thing, let's say you implement the biometric thing in a facility A and a facility B, and let's say in both places it succeeds. People embrace it very well, attendance rate improves, absenteeism decreases. Let's just assume it happened in a month's time. What do you think? What do you say succeeded? What is the reason for this success? Let's say, okay, why did this biometric facility decrease absenteeism in facility A and facility B? The reasons in the realist worldview, we say, even if the outcome is the same, the reasons behind the success may be very different. Can you give one reason why it worked here? Maybe people in facility A respond extremely well to authority, to rules. A memo comes and they follow it. In facility B, it could be related, for example, to leadership style. I'm making now very loose. It's not that, for example, leadership style alone and embracement of authority are non-overlapping. There could be all of these. But the idea is when you think of a program and why it works, why it doesn't work, you have to think really into within the implementation context of that program and see what is the reason, what are the kind of ideas, interests it is triggering within the people that make it work. Okay. So basically what we are saying is, to do a very short recap of what we started off with. So social phenomena are very complex. When we are talking of programs are implemented not in isolation, they are not implemented in laboratories, right? You can't control factors. You can't say, okay, my program will work with a good DHO, so I will ensure that I get a good DHO. It has to work with any DHO in that system. It has to work with any existing structure. And programs have various, the one reason for this complexity is because programs can be looked at these various levels. So you can think of for any program, be it family planning, be it biometric, be it anything implemented in the real world, you can think of various factors at all these levels. One very important thing for you to appreciate, which is that when we say theory in this, in not only realist, but theory is of course has a larger meaning in social sciences, right? It's not these grand universal theories. It's not these theories that explain everything, not like the gravity, for example. which is a universal theory. Here in social science, we are talking of theories at the middle range. Sometimes you could refer to them as middle range theories. Theories that explain several empirically observable events. It holds good in several scenarios, right? So these actually are what is very important to remember. In the realist worldview, programs are actually theories. In the realist worldview, I would actually like you to read this. There are many possible behavioral choices that people manifest or not in specific conditions, which results in the outcome, right? An evaluation using the realist approach thus begins by seeking an explanation for why the outcome of interest occurs in some places and not in others. So it's actually not a very sort of an amazing insight, and that's what I wanted to emphasize about realist. It's a way of being rigorous about why or how questions in evaluation. So you start this approach with saying, why is it that in one setting things seem to be working and in another setting things seem not to be working? And this is really a classical social sort of evaluator's dilemma, right? Because it's not only about describing all the positive outcomes, but also about trying to understand why is it that this intervention worked where it did and did not work where it did not. And the second one is something we will revisit a bit later, but they say that programs, be it family planning or be it whatever, all of those, they work through people and their choices. They do not work because of those goals and their goals and objectives have a way of triggering people to make choices, but mainly it's about choices. It's when you make a program, let's say an ASHA program or anything, it's really about influencing the choice of a person in the direction in which you want the outcome for. So it's very important then for you as an evaluator or you as a program designer to think, what kind of conditions did I provide this intervention? In what kind of a setting did I create? Or how did I influence the setting in which this program is being implemented? So why we are emphasizing so much is because program evaluation tends to forget this, right? Don't you agree? When we say evaluation, in the mainstream, I'm not talking about you as individuals, but when we say evaluation, one, usually we are asking yes or no questions. Did this work or did it not work? Two, we fall for rhetoric. Okay, government has to provide care, otherwise it doesn't work. Government cannot provide care, so private sector care has to work. In some sense, I believe these kind of approaches may help in moving away. Even, I'm not saying that you may not have one position on government or private care, but it helps you to move away from that trap of a yes or no answer for a social, for a real world problem, and go into why and how, right? So that's really one of the things. So this is the classical beginning, the first step for any realist evaluation. What works, for whom, under what conditions, and why. Okay, it's very important that the evaluation is not going to try and find out where did it work and where did it not work. I feel you are again falling for that old trap. Let me explain. We are trying to say, why did it's very obvious. Can you name a single program which worked in every single setting where it was implemented? Is there any one? Anything? Every single setting? It was improved over time, whatever it may be. It's pulse polio also, how much ever you might try to engineer it. Thankfully, it lasts only those 3 days. If it were to last 2 months, it might have taken another century. But from the evaluator's perspective, it's not really about discovering the strategies yet. It is about trying and understand why is there this pattern. Now coming to the second part about policy maker, let's be clear that every single HPSR work that we take up need not be targeted at the health commissioner or the secretary of health. Policymaker environment is a larger one. It could be targeted, for example, at you writing in a newspaper that insight you obtained on after doing the evaluation, which a policymaker may pick up. It may not be very easily digestible or harmonious with their thoughts, but sometimes it starts a discourse. So be careful about saying, okay, will a policymaker want this or like this? That's not the only reason to take up an HPSR question. Sometimes you are asking a question which makes them uncomfortable, which is okay. Yeah. So are we clear that programs are actually intentions in some sense? They are intentions. When you say I want to improve TB integration in primary healthcare, it's really an intention you have, and you are hoping that everybody there shares that intention, right? Which is usually not the case, because intentions are also driven by your own technical training, your own agenda. So, if you permit me to say that. So, all of us have these intentions, and all of us tend to believe these are good, right? Being program designers, we always feel that we have a good intention which you're doing it. Second, that we are making a good program. So let's look at several of these intentions. I've sort of made a very loose generalization of very large programs. Can you identify the first one? What did it result in, that intention? Let's imagine that the intention of the implementer was to have a new cadre of community health workers. Second one, it happens a lot, I'm sure many of you may have participated, so-called training programs. We have to improve, Bikash for example was talking about managerial skills of district level people. They are all clinicians, so we have to train them, right? That's another intention which people have and make programs out of. Communitization of health services. We need to have communities participating with people. That's another intention. Fourth one is, people are not performing. Let's pay them a bit more based on performance. Let's give them some money, and then that will increase performance, right? So these are 4 intentions, and they have resulted actually in programs that you are all somewhat familiar with, right? So let's split into small groups, and I would like you to make a theory. What was the theory behind these programs, right? So brainstorm together, try and think critically on why is it that a community health worker was placed. What was it that the program designer, put yourself as an evaluator and you are trying to explain to somebody else the theory, not the grand unified one, but the middle range theory or the program theory as we call it, behind these interventions, okay? So let's not assume that people have this one theory in mind, saying this is what ASHA will do, because after all ASHA was not thought and implemented by one person. It's a larger system which implemented the ASHA. But let's try to be critical and understand why is it that they expected this community health, what is it they expected this person will do in order to improve from an evaluator / implementer perspective. So you are here trying to, this is the first step actually in a realist evaluation. What you are all doing is the actual first step of realist evaluation, where you have been asked to evaluate a program or a policy. And this is the first step, not to look at where did it work and where did it not work, but to understand why should this program work? Who thought this will work? Why did they think this will work? Yeah, it's okay if you want to bring in community perspectives. Some of those insights are related to what happened in the program. You can keep that in the background, but that's not in the foreground. We are not asking why did they think of the ASHA program broadly, but we are asking for assumptions. If, for example, if the answer to your question was they thought of ASHA program because they thought A, B and C would happen if they chose a village woman, etc., that's interesting. But if you are asking about which kind of civil society had a movement and that's why they came, not into that, yeah.